Hi folks, Mark Allen, BHSpringSolutions, and this is the Tisas 6,000 rounds plus endurance testing of the Tisas pistol. And I've got a few updates for you. Today is July 7th. It is 80 degrees, 49% humidity. Different environment a little bit than it was 3 days ago on July 4th. We shot 3,000 rounds out of the Tisas pistol. I want to make a couple of notes about the pistol so far. After we completed that 3,000 rounds, as part of the testing, this high power had been in and out of this bucket of water after every couple hundred rounds, and then we took it, shook the water out of it, and kept right on shooting. Every 1,000 rounds we've been doing a field strip, cleaning, inspecting the pistol, and then reassembling. We began this test with 850 rounds before we ever started this extreme stuff. We started the extreme stuff with 5,300 rounds of ammunition on hand, and we will be shooting a total, hopefully, of 6,150 rounds total out of the Tisas. Now, the first 850 rounds we mainly shot, and we were kind of, you might say, working the kinks out of the pistol, trying some different things, different triggers, different spring combinations, and we were looking really with that 850 rounds to try to define an optimal. And we started this 5,300 rounds in the kind of extreme protocol. We started with the Tisas extractor. And we're going to be keying in and focusing on this extractor issue a little bit. This part has been documented as being prone to breakage. And we started with this on July 4th, with this in the Tisas pistol. And reliability and failures to extract were so frequent and becoming more and more frequent, we decided to change the extractor. And if I can, I want to show you real quickly. Let me put this Tisas down. I want to show you this Tisas extractor, if we can get a shot of that. This claw needs to angle downward. This claw is now actually angling upward, and where the claw body, or where the claw comes in right under here into the body of the extractor, we've found a crack. I can see daylight under it. This claw is now got an upward angle to it. It's going to be very prone to breakage, and it's not going to work with that angle because it will not hold the empty shell casings when the slide is ejecting rearward. We replaced that with, this is kind of a rarity actually. This is a FN Browning extractor, and it would have been for one of their Renaissance models or one of their higher end pistols, so it's kind of a chrome finish. We do not really have a lot of experience with this extractor prior to this test. It's an FN Browning extractor, obviously, so we decided to go ahead and give it a try. It is a silver chrome or hard chrome finish on the Tisas pistol. It seemed to make sense. Anyway, what we found quickly was, first of all, extraction got better, but it did not become 100% reliable. And I want to show you right here on the front of the extractor, this is that black junk. Well, for whatever reason, this finish is like a magnet to this black stuff that builds up on the extractors and internals of pistols, but it builds up and builds up and builds up very, very fast, and it's actually very hard to clean off of this finish. So we had better reliability out of this extractor. Eventually we changed over to a blued FN Browning extractor, and then reliability got much, much, much better at that point. So then we noticed one other thing, because we had not had what we would call acceptable reliability at that point. we've been testing with the RDIH finger grooved grips. These are very comfortable, and they do afford a very sure feeling hold on the pistol. What we found was that if we were at all limp wristing or not very rigid in this area of the arm, which, you know, when you have what feels like a nice firm grip on a pistol, you maybe sometimes don't get rigid and stay rigid when you're shooting thousands of rounds, and stay that way. And when we kind of refocused on staying very rigid right here and not anything like a limp wristing the pistol whatsoever, we shot just shy of 800 consecutive rounds with no malfunctions whatsoever with this setup. So we're going to be interested to see if that continues. We fully detail stripped the pistol, every piece, every pin, every spring, and meticulously cleaned everything. The finish on the pistol so far is holding up very, very well. We took the Picatinny rail off. The inside or underside of the Picatinny rail looks like it's brand new. It is a plastic compound or injection mold part, but it has held up to all the heat that it's been subjected to. The entire pistol, the springs, the pins, all the parts, everything has experienced this going from extreme heat to very fast cool down right in a bucket of water. So this is real extreme testing for every component inside this pistol. We inspected, visually inspected every part, every spring, every pin in this pistol before today, and we've got 2,300 rounds remaining. And we checked and visually inspected every part of the pistol. Everything looks excellent. Even the fact that you know, surface rust had started to develop on the springs, internally, you know, under the sear lever, just everywhere. And everything wiped right off. Nothing had been damaged. Everything still looks, it just didn't change the day for anything inside the pistol. So we're excited to get started, and we're going to be doing 200 consecutive rounds. Pistol goes in the water, gets cooled down, 200 more. At the end of 1,000, we will field strip the pistol, clean the pistol, and then the last 1,300, if all seems like it's going well, we're going to do the whole 1,300 and call it a wrap. But we're going to see how everything runs today and kind of play everything by ear and see how it goes. July 7th, 2018, we've got 2,300 rounds left to go in the Tisas Endurance test. This is the first of the 4,000. We're going to do 200 rounds. Today it's 80 degrees, 49% humidity, extremely comfortable, and we're going to get started. Ear protection, everybody. Okay, we are into the 200 to 400 round of the 4000. Hey, right now, let's load those magazines, but do not bring them back to me. Okay? Okay, we're not getting good extraction, so I decided to go ahead and replace out the extractor spring. As I am taking the pistol apart, you're going to see this is not a big Achilles heel of the high power, but it is occasionally we've seen a little bit of damage to the firing pin retaining plate. This firing pin retaining plate has fractured, and it is now that could how you say this nicely, this is the reason you wear eye protection when you're shooting, because that's the only thing holding the firing pin between your eyeball and the firing pin, and this firing pin retaining plate that you see here has now fractured, so we're going to replace that. We're also going to go ahead and replace the extractor spring, and we're going to show you kind of why we're going to do that. But the tail end of an FN Browning, or the Tisas extractor for that matter, kind of sticks up a little bit more in the back or in the tail area. That means to me that that spring is going to have to be very, very fresh in order to create enough push based on the positioning of that extractor. But this firing pin retaining plate fracture here, I want to get our retaining plate tool, take this off. And we'll show you what has happened. There's the part, and that's the original Tisas firing pin retaining plate. We're going to get an FN Browning firing pin retaining plate and replace that in the Tisas, and then we'll resume our test. Okay, Mark Allen, BHSpringSolutions, and we're going to show you what has happened in our Tisas test real quick. First of all, your firing pin retaining plate is located right back here. It retains this firing pin in the pistol. With that firing pin retaining plate, if it's compromised or it's gone, in essence this firing pin will be propelled, the firing pin will be propelled rearward by the force of the firing pin spring. This becomes kind of a bullet, and normally it would be shooting right back at a shooter's eye. So this is a reason you wear eye protection. And this fractured, this is my personal carry Browning high power. It's got about 25,000 rounds through it. It was built in 1989, and I have not replaced the firing pin retaining plate. And I have replaced the extractor at this point. That's one of the things we're going to be talking about too. But the firing pin retaining plate should look like this piece here, if we can see that at all. And this is what's left of the Tisas extractor. It was still holding the firing pin retaining plate, or the firing pin in the pistol, thank goodness. But it half of it is gone, as you can see, and that has not been found. So this is a new FN Browning firing pin retaining plate. We're going to go ahead and install that, but I wanted to point out one more thing, and it's kind of something we've noticed as we've been fighting this extraction issue. Remember, the Tisas extractor, it's fractured. The claw is fractured. It's non-usable. It's not going to work. The claw part will break with just a little bit more usage. You can see the fracture in the part. But here are two high power slides. They both have the exact same extractor, the FN Browning extractor, and they both have the BHSpringSolutions extractor spring. Now, what I'm going to show you is this, is if we can see it, the amount that the tail of this extractor on the Tisas is up and out of the pistol compared to the Browning here. This has got maybe a 5,000 round extractor spring in it at this point, maybe 7,000 or 8,000 rounds. And in essence, what this is showing us is the extractor spring in the FN Browning high power is more compressed. We can tell that because the tail of the extractor is lower, recessed in the frame. And then in the Tisas, it would stand to reason here that our extractor spring is not as compressed, which means it's not exerting as much influence, and this extractor feels a bit mushy. The Browning pistol with the same extractor spring that's been in now for 7,000 or 8,000 rounds, where I'm going with this is there is a dimensional deviation here between these two pistols. Our hunch is that because of that dimensional deviation, there had to be an attempt to make a different part on Tisas's part in order to compensate for this dimensional difference. The FN high power extractor fits, it functions, and it functions better than the Tisas extractor did in terms of reliability, but we can also see that it's not using as much spring because it's not got that spring as compressed as in the FN Browning. So we're going to at the same time put a brand new extractor spring in, and we only had about 3,000 rounds on this one. In the event that a brand new unused extractor spring can make this pistol function more reliably, we want to find that out. Also, the last thing is the 800 rounds that we shot with no issues of extraction. Those was all one brand of ammunition, the Perfecta Italian-made ammunition. We've now switched over today to Federal, and we've not had the same experience with that ammunition. So it may be that some of these dimensional differences we're finding in the Tisas compared to the FN Browning, it's showing up in finickiness on the Tisas pistol's part in terms of what ammunition. It likes some ammunition, doesn't like other ammunition. I've literally shot anything I could buy through this FN Browning since 1989, and it does not discriminate about ammunition. It feeds all of them reliably. So that's something that we're kind of fighting with the Tisas pistol, but we're going to go ahead and get a retaining plate back onto this pistol and put a new extractor spring in it, see if we get more reliable with this same ammunition, and that's what we're going to do next. Thank you. Okay, we've put on a new firing pin retaining plate, replaced an extractor spring. We're going to continue with the same ammunition that we've been using. And if everything is going good, guys, we're going to keep loading after I keep shooting, and we're going to churn through this the remainder of this 200 at this point. We're going to keep going. extract. Okay, we're getting ready. We're getting ready to start rounds 400 through 600. That's all the perfecta?
Yes.
Clemena?
Yes.
Is that all of the perfecta?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, to complete out this 200 rounds, we've got kind of an off-brand brass, I think it's called Blaster. It's functioned okay. It's 115 grain brass full metal jacket ammunition. So we'll see how this does. We had one fail to extract with the Perfect. Okay, we have a cool down Tisas. This is round 600 to 800 in the 4,000th round of our 6,000 round test. And we are going to now get started. We have 200 rounds coming up of Winchester 124 grain ball ammunition. I'm stopping this point from where we're at. Go ahead and we can just stop. Okay, we're still into this 600 to 800 round range in the 4,000th of the Tisas Endurance test. And we just went ahead and put in a brand new FN extractor to see if we can get the reliability part up. We've noticed that we're very finicky based on the type of the ammunition that we put through it. And so we're going to see if this this extractor change with our new extractor spring will bring this reliability up just a little bit. In this 1,000 round period, we did replace the firing pin retaining plate. Now we're going to continue on, see what kind of reliability we get. We got still left of our 200, right? Quite a lot. Okay. Ready for it. Everybody's got ears on? Yeah, I need them. Extraction now. You can leave it stay running. Our extraction has jumped out to about 8 feet with this new extractor, so let's see what happens here. That's the whole 200?
Yes.
Yeah? Rounds 800 to 1,000. This is the 4th 1,000 through the Tisas. We've changed over to CCI Blazer brass for this whole 200 rounds. We're finishing the last of the 4th 1,000th round.